Good Saturday morning, week 31, jammed packed show. I have never been more fired up than I am this morning. This is a moment that I've been waiting for a long time, probably 10 years, maybe even 15. I'll explain. There's a lot to get to. A lot about the Lions, NFL draft recap overall, Lions recap, the whole Shedeur Sanders recap, Detroit Pistons prep for game 4, Lakers Timberwolves recap, and the 3 predictions I made for the NBA. So an update on that. But first and foremost, I've been telling everybody that this was coming today, and so here it is. All right. So the Shedeur Sanders situation. On January 19th, on my show, I created a segment about Shedeur Sanders, and I predicted that he was, at best, a 4th or 5th round flyer in the NFL draft, and that any team that would draft him would do it at their own peril. I was basing that on multiple things. Number one, in the video, I shared from a football perspective, I do not believe he is as good as people made him out to be, as he himself made him out to be, his dad, his hype machine, the media. He is a product of a 24-hour media cycle and a family that knows how to build a brand. And they built his brand for the world to think and see that he would be the number 1 overall pick. This is from Deion Sanders' playbook, and he taught his son very well in that regard. What has happened is I think the whole world has missed this. And I have been on nonstop. It's almost too much that I've been on in the last 48 hours on X, on Facebook, following every single possible trending topic that you can imagine as it relates to Shedeur Sanders to find out if anyone saw what I saw basically during the season, during his not even just this past year, the year before, and watching the tool set that he had and watching the behavioral traits that he had, and then taking the puzzle and just simply putting all the pieces together. And it's like you watch Joel Klatt and you watch Mel Kiper and you watch Ryan Clark and you watch all these people be totally like baffled by as to why this is happening. So, from a football perspective, teams will put up with a lot of stuff. We know that. Folks have checkered backgrounds. They've done things that they regret. Laramie Tunzel, just off the top of my head, if you remember 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, had a gas mask on with smoke underneath. I mean, there are some things that NFL teams will put up with. But you will not find an NFL team that will take a quarterback out of college and put him at the quarterback position in the NFL and hand over a $5 to $10 billion, the keys to a $5 to $10 billion franchise and allow this ridiculous behavior to go on. It is the most important position in all of sports. And I could make a legitimate argue based on the complexities of it, the responsibility of it, that it's one of the most important jobs in the world. And there are only 32 of them. And of the 32, there are only about 15 to 17 that excel at a high level, and 5 to 8, maybe 5 to 10 that are truly, truly elite. And from 15 or 17 down to 32, you see a lot of churning of trying out backups. And of course, there's injuries and free agents and benchings and backup quarterback. Okay. So there is basically, this is a CEO of a football team. So let me get this straight. Let's put football aside now. All right. He's limited. He is severely lacking the skills to translate to the NFL that has been recognized by people all over. scouts, analysts, all over the place. Secondarily, let's talk about this. So if you make a decision to hire or draft, Shedeur Sanders, you are accepting every single thing that comes with him. Here's one thing that just jumps off the charts, and no one's really talking about this, and I don't know why. His entire football career, he has been coached by his father. I like Deion Sanders. He was a phenomenal talent, a world-class Hall of Famer at the cornerback position, someplace where you're not in charge of 11. You're one of 11. His son was groomed to be a quarterback in high school, then at Jackson State, then at Colorado, all under the leadership and direction of his father, who is a hype machine. And he basically was molded in exactly what his father is. His father's been a commentator in the NFL. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, as I said. He's brash, he's bold, he's flamboyant. He's all those things. He's a walking reality TV show. He's a walking commercial, from Aflac to when he spent all the years on television. His son is walking in the same ilk, down the same path. And guess what? Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing criminal about that. Quarterback in the NFL is a 24/7, 365 a year job. When you get hired for a company, any company, there are stipulations a lot of times that you have to sign that there can be no conflicting interests. And the reason that is because obviously said employer wants 100% of your attention. They don't want you having a part two, 1, 2, 3, 4 part-time jobs if this is a high level position. They want 100% of you. No NFL team that drafts Shedeur Sanders is going to get 100% of Shedeur Sanders. And even if you did, the talent is suspect at best. So you're making a decision to take on his suspect talent and then all of the circus show that comes with him. He wants to be a rapper. He wants to be a brand builder. He wants to be a commercial guy. He decides not to go to the draft. They build a homemade set, and in the homemade set, and it says legendary. He believes he's legendary. And folks, let me make this clear, because so many people out there are saying this to all sorts of people, not just me, that this is race and they're doing him wrong and all this type of stuff. The Sanders family, Deion, the entire family, and Shedeur brought this on themselves. If you watch his video at the combine, he basically spent 45 seconds telling people with his actions and his words why you should not draft him. On January 19th, I said he was a clip holder at best. I'm going to make another prediction here in a moment, and it's a two-part prediction, and it actually might come true. But first, let's go back to after draft night, first round draft night. He gets up on stage and he's rapping and he's flashing his gold chains and he's in front of an ice sculpture and he's all this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, you have got to be kidding me. You just didn't get drafted in round 1. You are, and no one's saying that you should go bang your head against the wall, but for crying out loud, act like you care. You're sending messages to everybody that it doesn't really matter to you and something else matters to you more. And you're just going to be who you are. Well, when somebody pays you 60, 40, 20 million, whatever it is in a number 1 overall contract today, you're paying somebody to buy into your philosophy and in what you're doing. Some humility, being humble, a level of gratitude, all of that is required. It goes way beyond just your skill set. Mel Kiper, this is not about just an evaluation board in terms of your measurables and your metrics and your arm strength and your ability to throw on any platform. You need the full package to lead an NFL franchise. This is not rocket science, and it's not race. Jalen Milroe just got picked last night again before him. People wanted to say the Raiders, and oh my God, Tom Brady mentored him. Yeah, I don't know the whole situation, but Tom Brady probably mentored him to give the kid a chance and get him to get out of his own damn way. You think that Tom Brady's going to sign off us on that circus show? Deion Sanders was on recently, not long ago, after a visit by Shedeur with a team about his potential draft. He came back, he told his dad, Deion called the person. What NFL franchise wants to deal with this? This kid is basically at an uncoachable level. How do you coach somebody or teach somebody that thinks they already know everything that there is to know? And they've only known one way the entire playing career for their father. This is not anything complicated. And for some unknown reason, everyone's baffled by this. Like literally the whole world seems to be, or at least 95% seem to be baffled by this. And this is confusing. And he must have done something wrong. Yeah, he did. But somebody's like, all right, is there a hidden criminal act or something? No, it's been in front of everybody to see. It's on tape in terms of his skill set and his skill level, and it's all on tape in terms of his character as it relates to running a $5 to $10 billion franchise. Take a look at this, folks. I mean, this is as of 2022. This is outdated. All right, so it's more than this. There is not one team on this sheet of 32 that is valued at less than $3 billion. $3 billion. How could anyone entrust their franchise to a quarterback that acts in such a way? Shall we go back to Johnny Manziel? How about Baker Mayfield 1.0? How about what's his name? Zach Wilson and the all the stuff that he came out with and the women and all that type of stuff. Again, suspect talent at best, wrong, arrogant attitude. You're out there to lead not just 11, yourself and 10 other on the offensive side of the ball. You're leading an entire team. You're leading an entire franchise. You're leading an entire fan base. You're leading an entire city. You are leading a brand, a shield. It's not the Deion Sanders shield. It's not the Shedeur Sanders shield. Hello? I'm fired up about this. This blows my mind. So for those of you who don't know, I coached for about 9 years at the smaller levels. Middle school, high school, AAU, and rec ball. Okay? Played all the way through grade school, middle school, high school. Had a passion to coach. Loved teaching. Loved helping a young man get from where they are to where they would like to be, where they can be, getting them to reach their most full potential and getting them set up for the next level. It's what I ate, drank, and slept. It's what I lived. I ran very successful camps. Tim McCormick, former first-round NBA pick, out to speak at my camp, the largest independent camp in the state of Michigan that has never been not sponsored by a high school or any school. So I gave it all that I had. What drove me away after 8 or 9 years? There's a few things, but one of the very top things is attitude. It is what has happened in culture and in society. It is the me now attitude. It is the I am bigger than the team. It is the look at me. It is the if you don't have me. I share videos all week, every week at what's happening to sports on every single level and what the people like LeBron James and other people are doing to it. It has been ruining sports. Viewership is down for reasons. People are fed up. So can you blame any one of these 32 teams for not putting Shedeur Sanders in charge of your franchise? and the circus that comes from it, with it. You want to go have a reality show? You want to go sell brands? You want to go build a brand? You want to go be a rapper? Have at it, man. It ain't a crime. Go do it. But it's a conflict of interest at the quarterback position. Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions has his own podcast show. Okay. He doesn't act that way. He doesn't play that way. He doesn't conduct himself that way. But he has other interests, but they don't interfere. They don't conflict. They aren't bigger than the team. They aren't bigger than the league. They aren't bigger than the Ford family or any of his fellow colleagues and teammates. It's an extension of him where he has a platform to voice his opinion. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not Shedeur Sanders. It's not Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders walked by a Zoom call. I'm not exactly sure when it was, but I think it's more than a month ago. And he walks by his son and he says, that's why they're hating on all of us. Nobody wants to hear it, Deion. Nobody wants to hear about hating on your son. No one's hating on your son. No one's doing anything to your son. No one's doing anything to the Sanders. You, Deion, you, Shedeur, you did this to your damn self. You basically made this situation toxic. You pushed everybody away. You gave everybody a reason to look 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, even if they thought about it. Think about this. After round 1 was over, if anybody was thinking about it on day 2, the actions of your son went ahead and gave them validity to what their decision was to not take him. So if you wanted to ensure to keep him sliding, you sure did a hell of a job with it. And again, if you want to go live that life, go live that life. You want to go be the male version of the Kardashians? Good. You guys already got a head start. The Sanders. I'm sure the show will do very, very well. But it does not translate to your son, Shedeur Sanders, being a starting quarterback of one of 32 teams. And I'm telling you, here's the 2-part prediction I was talking about. There's one of 2 things that are going to happen now. And I predicted it on January 19th that he was no better than a clipboard holder. But being that this went past day 1 and then it went past day 2, what happened is a couple of things. Number 1, you might see him exit completely out of this and step away and take his talents. I'll give you a LeBron quote, and take his talents elsewhere. Because he's entered backup territory. I felt he was always a backup at best. I felt he was always a flyer, 4th round or 5th round or later at best. But because of what they are and what they do and how they act, and now the fact that this went past day 1 and past day 2, and now you are on, you're at a whole nother level, day 3 of the draft. You're basically backup. And any team that would decide to take him now, the firestorm will be so immense. It will be greater now than it was before the first pick on Thursday night. Think about that for a moment. You make a decision to draft him now at this point. It is accentuated times 100. The questions, the media, the circus show that will follow. If he starts as a backup, when is he going to be in? All of this type of stuff. The interviews with his father, all of it. His own actions. It's amplified 100-fold. I legitimately see 2 possibilities. 1, he steps out of the process altogether. He cannot go back to college. He's declared for the NFL draft. He has no longer has any eligibility to go back. I have a feeling he might step away completely and go on to other things. This is going to end very badly. It's already ended very badly. I don't see any possible outcome. This is not Tom Brady dropping to round 6. This is not Jordan Love dropping, Aaron Rodgers dropping, Brett Favre dropping. It's none of that. All of those players had ridiculous talent that translated and converted to the NFL, and they weren't their own reason for not being drafted, on top of the fact that he's not very good. If he was very, very, very good, they would probably find a place for him, despite all of the antics, because quarterbacks don't grow on trees, and franchises that are worth $3 billion and up need to fill the stands, and they need to win. Because it's win or you're done. It's win or you're fired. It's win or you have a pissed off fan base. So everybody wake up. Wake up. Seriously. I mean, this is madness. Absolute madness. This is not an NFL quarterback. It's not his number one priority. How much clearer does he have to make that to mainstream? He's made it clear to the NFL, and they've done a resounding thump back and saying, we're not accepting this. And then when we didn't draft you, you gave us more reason to not reconsider. Like if you get a no in a sale, let's say, and you want to go back to that potential client, you want to give them a reason to buy your product or buy your service or buy into you. The guy and his family continues to give people reason not to buy into him. It's like he's got a demagnetizer. Instead of magnetizing people to come to him and believe in him, he's giving them every reason to stay away. He's rolling dice at a crap table. He's rapping in front of an ice sculpture right next to a customized stage that he built to promote his name and his brand, because he thought that the NFL was going to just come to him. Seriously, the NFL is not coming to you, my man. It's not. You're not even at a level of ability for them to even consider doing that. So I believe that this is a historical moment as it's scrolling on the screen down there. This is a historical moment in society. This is a historical moment for teaching young people. This is a historical moment for sports in general. And I said it on social last night, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Nico Imaliva from Tennessee and this whole NIL bullshit that's ruining sports. It's literally ruining sports. You are watching this every single day. You play for a team for 6 months, and then you leave and go someplace else, and then you play for 6 months and you leave and go someplace else. If you did that in workforce America, and you have 6 months on your resume, and you go to someplace else and you have 6 months, what happens? It's about it's not about team. It's not about building something. It's not any of that. It's all about the money now. Bo Schembechler, 1985, he's in the pregame in the locker room, and he says, it was the last game of the year, and he says, today is the last day that you will play for each other. From here on forever, you're going to play for a contract. And boy, wasn't that a different day in the 80s. You had to earn the right to have a contract. You didn't get paid on potential. See the Michael Jordan video that I shared recently, where he talks about corporate America when it came to Magic and Jordan and Bird and Isaiah and those guys. They had to earn it. They had to show it. They weren't just given money on potential. And this guy doesn't even have potential to be a top flight NFL quarterback. And I'm going on way too damn long for this, but it's important to society. It's important to young kids. When I would be in the gym with kids, and I've been out of it since 2015, 10 years, they would emulate these people. They would emulate this behavior. And I already saw the AAU has been the NIL forever. It just was underneath the surface, and people didn't know about it. Hell, I coached AAU and had players coming from one game to play in my game and leaving my game and going to play in another game. And it was framed as getting work in. So Where exactly were the academics? Where exactly was the family life? And you're talking to somebody that was a gym rat, right? But I had structure. I had responsibilities. I had chores. I had obligations to my family before my father passed away. You're going from team to team to team. Who's your team? Who and what is it all about? That's why I think this is a big moment. That's why I think Dan Lanning from Oregon is the one who basically spoke up. People could call it rat. People are going to call it all this bullshit. But Dan Lanning spoke up and he called Josh Heupel in Tennessee to tell them that Nico Imaliva was sniffing around for another deal, another NIL deal, when he already had a deal in place with Tennessee or was negotiating with Tennessee. And then they got rid of him. That, I believed, was a watershed moment. That was, again, a pushback. That was, again, hey, we're watching this. We're monitoring this. You don't get to just do whatever the hell it is you want and expect yourself to be able to collect $2 million, $4 million. And what ended up happening to the guy? He was told no, 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 and no again. And now he's ended up with UCLA for, I think, a quarter of the money, maybe a little bit more than half the money. How'd that work out? There is something to be said about the way you conduct yourself, about the way you act. And by the way, there's all sorts of footage and all sorts of film of the way Shedeur Sanders acted on the sidelines, how he acted towards ball boys. You know, the NFL is there. And if they're not there, they have all the tape in the world to watch your behavior. How you conduct yourself on the field, how you conduct yourself off the field, there is a camera on you 24/7. Looking for those things. And if you don't like it, get the hell out and go have a reality TV show. But there's a way you must conduct yourself. And there's guys that make mistakes all the time. The quarterback position, if you decide to play that, it comes with extra scrutiny. It comes with the ability to have extra humility. And let's talk about one other guy, Baker Mayfield, when he came out. How'd that work out for him? It didn't work. Now he's 2.0, 3.0 version of Baker Mayfield. He got it, and somebody got to him. He says he found God, and good for him. Props to him. However he did it, he figured it out. He's become a leader, and an entire team franchise relies on him. And he goes to work for them with the right attitude and the right approach of team, of franchise. And what has happened? They're winning. They're not winning at all, but they're winning, and they're doing very well, and they're in the conversation. But Baker Mayfield 1.0, it didn't happen. Let's go back to guys like Ryan Leaf. Remember Ryan Leaf? Some of the greatest tools you will ever find. Some of the greatest film you will ever find. Guy could make every throw. Guy, rocket arm, height, some mobility, just prototypical, right? But he was missing all the other stuff. Look at a guy like Jeff George. This is going way back. Probably he's in the top 5 arm talent of all time. Had a lot of issues. Had, some good moments in the NFL, but never lived up to it. How about a guy like Jim McMahon? Jim McMahon, you want to go back to the 80s, the 85 Bears, Super Bowl, all of that. And he was basically a loose cannon, like to say a lot of things, like to do a lot of things. But he had a lot of guys on that team that were massive, massive leaders. Richard Dent, Mike Singletary, Gary Fensick, lots of guys there to help kind of keep that team from just Otis Wilson from disintegrating. It doesn't work. It does not work. Take a look at this. This is him after not being drafted in round 1. Does that look like somebody who just like it just is destroying him inside that he didn't get picked? And then he said in a mini press conference that tomorrow is our day. Tomorrow is our day and we'll be blessed. He's got a legendary t-shirt on. It didn't come. And there's a great chance it doesn't come today. And if it does, he's a backup. And if my deepest of hunches come true, he steps away altogether. Either now or if he gets drafted somewhere in the process, steps away because he's going to get frustrated and he's going to want to speak up and he's going to want to step out. And any team that drafts him is having a conversation with him before at this time. And it is already known by many. Yeah, they did it anonymously. I get it. You should put your name to it. Don't put your name to it. I get all that debate. But they said he's one of the worst interviews that they've ever had. The arrogant, egotistical behavior came through. They don't want to deal with it. So he's really handcuffed. If he gets picked, back up. He's not going to stay silent. I don't think he has the wherewithal to be a team guy and sit back and take his medicine like a Bryce Young, as an example. How'd that feel for the number 1 overall pick to play half the season and then 14-year veteran Andy Dalton gets put in front of you and Bryce Young says, I'm going to support him. I'm going to do everything I got to do. I'm going to learn. There's lots of examples like that. You think this guy's that? He's not that. He's just not Bryce Young's mind. He's just not. And Bryce Young may never turn out to be anything spectacular, but he was the better for it. And he was humbled and he took a step back and he learned from Andy Dalton, who was a veteran. You think this guy's going to learn? The Raiders had a million chances to draft him, and they didn't draft him, and Tom Brady worked with him and counseled him. Why do you think Tom Brady, they need a quarterback in 4 years, 3 years? They took Geno Smith. They're paying him a lot of money. I get it, but Geno Smith isn't the 10-year answer, nor is this guy. And I think Tom Brady saw that personally. And I bet you Tom Brady's phone was blowing up, and people said, honestly, we won't expose you, but tell us, what do you see? And I think Tom Brady saw through it all. And I think word got out more than it had already been out. So I would expect this to continue to fall. And if it doesn't fall further and he does get picked, I think there's a super strong possibility that he steps away from football altogether and goes back to where I think his heart is really at. And again, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to go be a rapper? Go be a rapper. You want to go build brands? Go build brands. You want the Sanders reality TV show? You want to have Prime Junior show like his dad's show? Go ahead. You want to go coach on your dad's team? Go ahead. But you're not an NFL quarterback, and you never were. This is just proof to it all. All right. Moving on. Jeez. All right, NFL draft. Here's the top 10. That was actually my top 10 projection. Excuse me. I had Cam Ward going 1, which it did. I had Travis Hunter going 2, which he did, but not to the Browns. Abdul Carter was right at 3. Will Campbell was right at 4. Tyler Warren, boy, did he drop. And then the Jaguars went up to 2, and they switched. And then Mason Graham, who I had going to the Raiders here at 6, went to the Browns. Membu was correct, on point. Tatum McMillan, correct, on point. Jackson Dart fell a little further than I thought, which, again, I'll say this for the record. Jackson Dart is the best quarterback in the NFL draft, period. I'm on record for months saying that. This kid is going to be super, super, super dynamic. 100% the best quarterback in the draft. There'll be a couple that are close, but he is far and away the best. I thought the Saints would take him at 9. They didn't. All right. Bears, I had thought Giante was going there. Raiders made sure to get him. They snagged him up at 6. I had felt that TreVeyon Henderson was equal or potentially better than Giante. I talked about that for a lot of weeks. I thought that they would take Mason Graham. Obviously, he wasn't there, but they had an opportunity to take somebody else and then circle back and take TreVeyon Henderson. They had a 37th pick overall. They did a lot of movement, but they had 37. And I didn't think, there was a chance that TreVeyon was going to get taken ahead. His teammate, Quinshon Judkins, got taken ahead, I think 3 picks in front of him. I think he ended up going 38, 39, right in there. And so the Raiders didn't get him, but they've had a hell of a draft. It's just amazing what they're doing over there. They're now my number 2 favorite team besides the Lions. The Lions, we'll jump right into it because it wasn't Jack Sawyer. I suppose it still has a chance to be Jack Sawyer, but it wasn't. Tyleik Williams, they took with their first pick, run stopper, another Alabama guy, or excuse me, Ohio State guy. Brad Holmes just loves him some Big Ten and SEC. Is like he won't draft outside of it. It's totally crazy. Tate Rutledge guard out of Georgia. You know, that workman-like guy, strong, bulldog, got the mullet going, was a long-time starter for them, tough guy, great fit for what the Lions are doing grit-wise, that tenacity, that the philosophy of having a strong O-line, D-line across the board. They obviously went right back to that. And we all believe that they need an edge. I'm a fan of them getting another edge to go opposite of Hutchinson. But let's not forget that Aleem McNeil's injury was super, super serious. He might not be back till sometime around Thanksgiving. DJ Reader is there. You have some other guys there. But Tyleik is probably going to fill that role in the interim. And then we'll see what happens. DJ Reader's not young anymore. We'll see what happens with him. And then you solidify the middle. And, you know, getting a push up the middle is very similar and almost as important as the edge. So if you have a deficiency on one edge and you're getting push up the middle, that helps your edge, right? That's kind of like if you have a great front seven, it helps your secondary. So if you have great edge, it helps the middle. If you have great middle, it helps the edge. You know, you want to be great across the board. That's not easy to do, and that's what he's trying to do here. So you know, Tyleik Williams got basically a C grade by lots of people. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think in this technique, with this system, this coaching, this mentality and philosophy, he stands to flourish. Same with Rutledge on the offense. Here was an interesting pick. Isaac TeSlaa. You can almost say he's Tesla. TeSlaa, another SEC guy. All right, so imagine this. Cooper Kupp, 10X. Isaac, faster, bigger, stronger, attacks at the point of the high pointing the ball. Physical, breakaway speed. Again, bigger, 6'3". They gave up a lot. They gave up a lot to get him. I think it was 70 spots, 65, 70 spots. They moved up 3 number 3s, 2 next year, 1 exchanging the spot this year. They gave up a lot, but here's what I'll tell you about that. This is a twofold pick. The Lions are in a huge window right now to win. And we're going to see if the 5-year prediction ends up coming true when Williams and Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes came in. I put the prediction out there. Lions in the Super Bowl within 5 years. This is the 5th year coming up. You have a window to win right now. So you have Jameson on one side. They're picking up his 5th year option. He's entering 4th year. They picked up the 5th year option. So he's here for 2 more years contractually. And then I think everybody understands that he's not going to be here a 6th year. Because if he does well in year 4 and he does well in year 5, it's just too much money. You likely can't pay him. This is his replacement. This is to put Amon-Ra St. Brown, Isaac, and Jameson with Laporta as, that's freaking dynamic. I just don't know. I don't know how you stop that. And it isn't like they don't have an offensive line to protect Goff and give him the ability to get the ball wherever he wants with that type of weapons, with Gibbs in the backfield. Montgomery, are you kidding me? It got stronger, folks, with Tim Patrick, with Khalif Raymond as depth guys. This is insane. I actually have the chills. You know, we got my man over there, Easy from Woodward Sports, having a conniption fit about this is too much. And I love Brad Holmes, but it's too much. It's too much. Listen, man, you got up and you came and hit me and said, when I talked about trading Jameson Williams, you came in and you talked to me about the two-year window. I'm going to come back at you, Easy. I'm coming back at you. Here's your 2-year window that we talked about or window that we talked about. You enhanced your chances in the window and you likely replaced Jameson Williams 2 years before you needed to. And that cost something. On top of that, Brad Holmes is very, very strategic. He will find a way to recoup picks, reload, for lack of a better word, when the time is right. But he just enhanced the chances. It's a big jump. I agree with you there, Easy. It's a big jump. But I think it was worth the stretch. And when you factor everything in, he says value chart. It's nowhere on a value chart. Sometimes it's not a value chart, man. Sometimes it's just feel. Sometimes it's just fit. Sometimes you have a plan, and based on how everything is structured within the team, the organization, and the now, and in the short term or midterm future, and then the long term future, you're looking for guys that fit that. And if you're ahead of that curve, which Brad Holmes is, it's why they're in this problem. Let me just say this again, folks. All of this, these contracts being up, Gibbs taken care of. Amon-Ra St. Brown already took care of. Penei Sewell, you had to take care of him. Gibbs. Then you have Jameson Williams. You have Laporta. You have Branch. You had Kirby Joseph. These are happening because you drafted right all at the same time in a 2-3 year span. So those players are on their rookie contracts and they're coming up. So this is one of the prices, and it's a good price to pay, but it's one of the prices that you pay for building a team the right way. If the positive far outweighs the negative, I'll take this problem any day. The Lions showed exactly how not to do it for decades. This is how you do it. This is how the Patriots did it. This is how the Rams have done it. This is how you get good, stay good, you're relevant, and it's reload on the fly. Nick Saban said it last night. I mean, this is not rocket science. You're basically building the now, the 2 years from now, the 4 years, and the 8, 10, 12, 15. My man Todd Szymanski, he wants to see this be a dynasty. This is what it takes to make and build a dynasty. And there are some people that you're not going to be able to keep because you drafted all of that value, all of those performers that pan out, and you're not missing on guys. Well, they come due. And so Brad Holmes plays chess. He doesn't play checkers. This move right here is for the now, and he's calculating what he needs in the future. You already have a guy. Let's just project 2 years in the system, learning, developing, excelling, hopefully. And then when it's time to move on from Jameson, you already have the guy in-house. You're not looking to go draft that guy per se to replace him at that time. That's what's at play here. That's what makes Brad Holmes such a genius. That's what made his mentor or makes his mentor, Les Snead, so damn good. That's what this is. This is what we wanted. This is what we asked for. The Bob Quinns and the Chuck Schmidt days and all Matt Millen and all of the garbage that we dealt with for so long, it never thought this way. Those systems, that philosophy, it didn't think this way. So while on the surface it projects or it appears that it is a huge stretch, there's a rhyme and there's a reason here, and it's hard not to trust the guy, right? There's every reason to trust the guy, to trust the system, to trust the philosophy. Because what he has done since he has been here for 4 full years, and now this being the 4th draft, has been, no one has matched what he has done, basically. Maybe a couple that are close, but we see it every week. We see it year after year. You see a team completely remake itself and be relevant, 9 wins and then 12 wins and then 15 wins. Come on. So easy. Take it easy, my man. It's going to be okay. He's a terrific player. So as far as the edge, Brad keeps on coming out and saying that that he does not, they feel comfortable with who they have. And I think his quote, and I'm paraphrasing, said, we're not as worried about it as you all are. And we feel good about who we have. And that's great. And he's got to kind of say that. Jack Sawyer, as you see there on the screen, This is the projected. This was my final mock that went out last Saturday. I want Jack Sawyer. I think Jack Sawyer is one of those Chris Spielman type guys, where some of the stuff is missing on tape, but it all appears on the field. He's a game day player, and he's a difference maker, and he has all of the intangibles that you're looking for. So, hey, the Lions pick 102 is their next pick, and we'll see if he's still there and if they address the edge. They obviously didn't think Mike Green was that. They didn't think Nick Sewerton was that. They haven't thought that Jack Sawyer is that. There's a lot of guys that they let slide by, and I have full trust in what he's doing. So this one is fun for me too. Is switching gears here a little bit and away from football into basketball and NBA playoffs. Obviously, born and raised in Detroit, huge Pistons fan. I made 3 series predictions, and they're in videos in my feed. Starting with the Pistons and the Knicks, I had the Knicks in 6, potentially 5. I don't believe that the Pistons are ready to win in the playoffs against very talented teams that have multiple scoring options like this. I think we're seeing that play through. This is a hell of a learning experience. Hey, I could end up being wrong here, and they don't play till Sunday. These gaps, my God, 3-day gaps between games when you're not even traveling. It's so dragged out. It's crazy. It's very, it's very difficult to build, momentum. It's just, I know what they're doing. You're trying to drag on the product to keep the interest for longer. But geez, anyways, they're playing on Sunday. We'll see. Game 4 at home, chance to make it 2-2. It won't be easy though, folks. What we are seeing is what I discussed is that, somebody said it the other day. I don't know where I saw it, but a hell of a time, Peter. Hell of a time to see Malik Beasley go cold. Well, that's Malik Beasley. I mean, he's not a top flight performer that you can count on for getting you 25 every night. You're going to get moments like that, but he's 14, 16 a game guy. And most of it is in one particular facet of the game. When you look at guys in Brunson, hey, I'm not here to defend that guy in the stuff that he's doing, but he can get whatever he wants. Karl-Anthony Towns can get pretty much anything he wants. Josh Hart, incredibly versatile tool. Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, these are all players that can get a lot of what they want when they want. And the Pistons have that, obviously, in Cade Cunningham. And you're getting moments with Hardaway, and I shared that in that video. And Tobias Harris, and I talked in that video about Tobias Harris being your number 2 option. That's just not a strong option. Tobias Harris can't be your second option. Again, this is part of the growth and development. I'm not knocking what Trajan Langdon is doing. What he's doing is phenomenal. He is on track to be one of the greatest GMs in all of sports, not just the NBA. He was targeted and on everybody's radar when he was learning in New Orleans, and Tom Gore's got it right. So I'm not knocking them at all. What I'm saying is they're just not there yet. This is development. This is learning. This is growing. This is building. This is becoming a place and a destination that people want to get drafted and people want to play. Part of the process. They're just not there yet. And we're seeing that come through. And yeah, it was a 2-point game the other day. And of course, they won game 2 in New York, which was very nice. I had them losing in 5, which means you're automatically 1 game you're winning there, and potentially 6, which means that you're winning 2 games. So not a shock that they won, but would be a shock if they won the series. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. Great chance to step up. And, Karl-Anthony Towns, great game 1, great game 3, disappeared in game 2. You would need to have that happen again. You would somehow have to take one of the 2 scorers, Brunson and Towns, completely out of it. It's not going to be Brunson because he's just too active. Towns is easier to negate, in my opinion, than Brunson just because of the sheer size of him. Brunson can penetrate and can work the perimeter mid-game, get to the rack mid-game from distance. He can get it in a multitude of ways. So That is right on pace in terms of what I thought. The first, that one was just kind of by itself. Then I had two upset predictions. We'll start with Milwaukee and Indiana. Indiana up 2-1. They were up 2-0. Milwaukee fired back at home. Nice response, but I still think Indiana is the upset winner of that series. I think we're seeing the end of Giannis in a Bucks uniform. I think he will be traded in the offseason. Milwaukee can no longer sustain players. It's just not a place that players want to go. Damian Lillard, obviously the blood clot issue. Hopefully that's all resolved, but he's more on the downside, and the window basically has closed for Milwaukee. Even if they were to get past Indiana, they have zero shot of making any kind of noise. So I would anticipate him being gone, and I fully anticipate that coming true and that Indiana wins that series. All right, so here's the big one, and I got crushed. This decision by me to do this show and go up on social, man, when you make these bold predictions, and you go against the grain and what everybody thinks, people will attack you in a whole bunch of different ways. But it was the Timberwolves in 7, maybe 6 over the Lakers. Big win last night. Yeah, LeBron 38. I think Minnesota's a very difficult matchup for the Lakers. And they said, I think it was JJ Redick or somebody on the team said it after game 1. We're figuring out how to play. Maybe it was LeBron and his BS. We're figuring out how to play together and this and that. You don't have to play game 1 to figure it out. You have two ball-dominant players, LeBron James and Luka Doncic. As everybody wants to say, it's this miraculous combination. You cannot have two ball-dominant players. Here I go again. And then you have Austin Reeves, who I think is the whole key to everything. And if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, they're less successful. So you can say we're learning how to play all you want. You cannot play with two ball-dominant players. It doesn't work. It has never worked. Scottie Pippen was, if you just want to go back in the day and you want to say Michael Jordan took full control of the ball, and then, maybe they tried to take something away from Jordan, Scottie would take a little bit of control, but it's very difficult to have two alphas that way. And then you say, oh, I'm going to step back and then you take it. And no, you're going to step back and then I'm going to take it. And you have all this back and forth. It affects the product on the court. If you're playing a team that's not very good, chances are you'll just overwhelm them. But Austin Reeves is the X factor to the Los Angeles Lakers. It is not Luka Doncic. It is not LeBron James. I'm going to scream from the mountaintops again. This is as clear and as basic as it can possibly be. The addition of Luka Doncic, and think of the three positions, is as much of a hindrance to Austin Reeves as it is a help, because it will negate or stunt his growth. Austin Reeves is one of the greatest talents in the NBA right now, and he was before Luka. So this is not something that developed as a result of him. Luka's addition didn't do it. He already had it. So you need Austin Reeves to step up and score his 25 a night. But it's very difficult for LeBron to have 38 and Doncic to have 34 and Reeves to have 26. I mean, the fluidity of your team is not there. And if you want to try to win like that, good luck, because you have to have, when you look at the teams who win, now Jordan's an exception, all right? Kobe even an exception. But when you look at the teams who win, it's 5, it's 6, it's 7 guys in double figures. It's 2 or 3 of those guys up above 20, sometimes 4 at or above 20. Go ahead and score 38, LeBron. People will take Luka at his 20. Add 38 and 20 together, you got 58. You divide it by 2, you got 29, and then Reeves suffers. I need to look and see. Let me look and see real quick here what Reeves did last night. I didn't even look at his box. Let's take a quick peek here. So that series now 2-1, and interesting to see where this all goes now. Again, I had Timberwolves in 7, potentially 6, And I think that's right on pace to take place. All right. So LeBron 38 and 10. Austin Reeves 20. 41 minutes. Here's an interesting number. 41 minutes for LeBron, 40 for Luka, 41 for Reeves. 38 for LeBron, 17 for Luka, and 20 for Reeves. So this is basically what I'm explaining here. This is 55, that's 75 points, that's 25 a guy, right? If you want to just take the average. Now let's look at what they have beyond him. Hachimura 8, Jackson Hayes 2, that's his famous night. Dorian Finney-Smith 8, Vanderbilt 3, Gabe Vincent 5, Jordan Goodwin 3. There's nothing after that, folks. Nothing. And it's not going to be. If you have 21, 37, 55 shots. 55 of 78 shots taken by 3 guys. There's not much opportunity. 43 pointers, 17 of 40. LeBron with 9 3-pointers attempted, Doncic with 8, and Reeves with 11. That's 28 of the 43 pointers shot by those 3 guys. This is simple math. It's simple metrics, and it got you to a 12-point loss, outscored by 10 in the fourth quarter. This is basic stuff, guys. They don't. I said to somebody a week or two ago, and he just blew me up. I said they don't have the depth. Well, if you knew anything about basketball, the NBA is 8 players. At playoffs are 8 players deep. Number one, I don't agree with that. It's really 9. If you really have balance on your team, it's 9, not 8. And if you really have balance on your team, your scoring isn't that much disparity between your top scorers and the others. You would much rather see 20, 20, 20, 20, 28, 20, 20, 14, 17. Then you know that you're getting what you need to get at certain points, important moments of the game, when maybe defense is adjusting to you, you're getting it from other guys. They don't have the other guys, folks. They do not have the other guys. So Minnesota up 2-1. That was the main prediction that I had, or the main upset that I had. Those are the 3 predictions that are all 2-1. Pistons down 2-1 to the Knicks, Milwaukee down 2-1 to the Pacers, and Lakers down 2-1 to the Timberwolves. Those are all trending. So that pretty much covers it for today. I am just like, holy cow, interested to see how the rest of this unfolds with Shedeur. Just a quick recap. I see him potentially not being drafted at all. If he is drafted, there will be assurances that he will not be a starter and that he will have to compete for it. And I think there's a very distinct possibility, depending on if he obviously gets drafted, who drafts him, what the situation and scenario is, what the city and town is. I believe that's all important to the Sanders. You think it's going to work? Let's say it was Green Bay. It's not going to be, but let's say it's Green Bay and it's in Wisconsin. There's not a whole lot to do there. A lot of players complain about that. Can you imagine Shedeur Sanders in a place like that? Shedeur Sanders wants to be in Chicago, New York, LA, Vegas. I mean, I just don't see it, and don't think that those teams are not smart enough, like Brady. Can you imagine Shedeur Sanders in Vegas? Forget the football. Can you imagine Shedeur Sanders in Las Vegas, in that place? Wow. Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. It doesn't work. So you're looking at a guy who's hamstrung, handcuffed. He's boxed in a corner. So again, it would not shock me if you see him step away from football altogether. Then they will take this and they will craft this as a race narrative, and that he was done wrong. It will increase popularity. He'll continue to develop brands, continue to be under his father. They'll work together in things. I can seriously see that as a possibility. Hey, this tape is either going to melt. This video is either going to melt, or it's going to come back like January 19th did when I said he should not and would not be drafted any earlier than the 4th or 5th round. That video from the 19th said the 5th, but I made several others that he's a flyer. And so I think the teams bought into it. They stood up to this. This is one of the greatest moments in sports history. And I'm not rooting bad for the guy, but I'm rooting for the league, and I'm rooting for sports in general and how it converts and translates to life and the message that it sends all the way down to young kids who try to emulate this behavior. And Charles Barkley, I'm not your role model. I get it all. Shedeur Sanders' job is not to be a role model for every single person in society. I get it. However, there's a responsibility on a team to be careful of who they put in these positions. And particularly at the quarterback position, there's basically no position in all of the world that has more eyeballs and more media on it. Publicly traded companies, Ford, GM, Tesla. Yeah, you could say guys like Elon Musk. You could say the Ford family. You can say a lot of different people. But it's nonstop, 24-hour news cycle, sports cycle, talking about Shedeur Sanders now. Imagine if he was playing for an NFL team. So wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't get drafted. Wouldn't surprise me if he steps away altogether and goes on and does something different and try to leverage this so-called hate that has developed and the reason that they're blaming everybody that he wasn't picked. This is 100% on him, his dad, the Sanders family, and the fact that everybody needs to come to grips with he's just not that good. He was never inside of a 4th round talent anyways, even if you deduct all the other stuff. He's just not. People say, oh, this is not the tape. It's not that of a 4th round pick, 5th round pick. How do you take some of the players that they took before him? Quinn Ewers should be taken before him now. Will Howard should be taken before him now. Dylan Gabriel was just taken. Jalen Milroe was just taken. Tyler Shout was just taken. Those are all better quarterbacks than him. Simple. And they all been coached by somebody other than their father. Don't underestimate that. These teams don't want to deal with that. And their father's very influential. His father's very influential, very outspoken, and don't think that he's going to just sit back and be quiet all of a sudden. Not happening. So, again, follow me on X, please, Paul, or at PB Sports Talks, on Facebook at PB Sports Talk, the website pbsportstalk.com. We're growing here. And let me just pop this up here real quick before I go. Should have it here. One moment. All right, here we go. Sponsorship packages are still available. I have multiple affiliates in play right now. I have a negotiation with a couple of others. So I expect a couple to fill here very soon. We have 3 different options. On-air reads, $150 per read per segment. $9,500 for the overall presenting sponsor. So it's PB Sports Talk powered by XYZ Company. Sports Ticker Marketing down on the bottom scrolls. This show's been going on an hour and 3 minutes. Most are between 55 minutes and an hour and 10. But I do a lot of different stuff, and there's tickers on all of that stuff in addition to the Saturday show. So $50 per company, 4 max per show, and it scrolls throughout. So these are all available. Show is growing. I wrote an article yesterday about Shedeur Sanders. I think it has 15,000 views, and I will be putting sponsorships down on articles. You'll see me writing more articles about major topics in sports, such as this whole Shedeur Sanders incident and multiple other things. So there's lots of opportunity to help build a brand, sell a product, sell a service, particularly if it is something that can be sold online around the country. There's conversations I have with people now in all sorts of states and, quite honestly, countries. Somebody just yesterday was in London that I was going back and forth with. So lots of opportunity here. The show's growing. Love to grow together with you and do this together. Excited about what the future holds. Everybody have an awesome weekend. Have a great Saturday. Hope everyone had a great Easter. Don't forget Mother's Day coming up in a couple of weeks. So enjoy your day. Remember, always hug someone, hold someone, love someone. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.